I have a lot of complaints about Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's pretty clear. I do like the game though. Every time I fire it up to gather more footage for a video, I sit and play it for a bit. So that's a good thing. I could probably actually make a video listing things I like about the game. But I like talking shit, so instead here's 10 more things I dislike about it in no particular order. Okay, I know there's some mini games in this game, and I think there's quests to build more mini games in Lurelin Village after saving it, but I didn't really give a f to build those or really play the ones I ran across. Is trying out the Zonai cars considered a mini game? I don't know. But if it is, that game sucks major tip. In other Zelda games I've played, I used to be stoked to hit like, subscribe, follow my shit, ring the bell. I used to be stoked to play mini games and would even pay massive amounts of hard to accumulate money to play those games. Even the most difficult mini games were still fun, or maybe stuff that's not even games but just like straight up gambling. I don't know. But I didn't get close to that feeling in this game. I've always felt like the towns were a bit uneventful in Tears of the Kingdom and even in Breath of the Wild as well. But like, it's not like there was a lot going on in the towns of older games. Maybe less is more, so it made those towns seem more full in general, but I always remember those mini games just being mad fun. It could also be that even if I find a mini game in Tears of the Kingdom, I know I won't get anything good for beating it. The only game I remember spending a lot of time on was picking up stuffed animals for this random dumb bitch in the street who kept dropping them, and that was also because I hadn't even thought of using Ultra Hand. It's just a major letdown. For all the time put into making unnecessary amounts of shrines, couldn't the, I don't know what they're called, puzzle making assholes make some damn mini games? Let me just be straight up. This isn't my dream house in this game. First off, why is it up here? I think the first step to building a dream house would be to pick where it's at. I know that's not traditionally a thing in Zelda games. Your house is where your house is. But in this game, since Zelda stole my last house and I get to build a new one, at least give me some options. Tarrey Town isn't the funnest place in the world, but I'd still like to at least be connected to the town. I know some people like their peace and quiet, but seriously, I have to fight fucking moblins on the way to the rest of the village if I decide to actually take the road. I opted to go for length instead of girth and build a really tall house with a nice balcony. That way I could paraglide to the rest of the town. Since I made it tall, I ended up running low on pieces and had to pick between which pieces I wanted to use or not use towards the end and wasn't able to even complete it the way I wanted it, giving back either my bathtub or my vegetable garden to be able to keep all the weapons displays. There's no type of driveway to even connect it to the street. Like, this shit has very little character. It's just a big ugly box sitting in the middle of some big ugly grass, and then you can't even do shit inside of it really other than sleep. I overall like my finished product, if I can call it finished, but this segment was overall ass. I think it's very neat to be able to craft our own vehicles and contraptions. I'm not against the introduction of Zonai tech and Zonai devices for two reasons. One, Zonai tech is the equivalent of Sheikah tech, which I liked in Breath of the Wild. And two, Zonai tech is the equivalent of some of the unique items you can find in the world in previous Zelda games. And being able to put it all together gives even more flexibility and utility to all of it. Problem is, what is this shit? Okay, obviously the devices are a service to the game itself, and I don't want to just complain about plot holes all night, but why did the Zonai have all this random garbage? I'm a super advanced race of alien goats with futuristic technology. Here's what I have. A fan, a bazooka, a pot, a steering wheel, a laser, a fire hydrant, a cart, a levitating block, a missile, a battery, and a tire. This shit is more like Monopoly pieces than leftover technology from an ancient race. Such a random array of junk. And then as for the vehicles themselves, like, these shits kinda suck. One of the most heavily advertised pieces of Zonai tech is this shit, which basically functions like a paper airplane. Monster trucks with a wooden fence door for a chassis, and then turning it on by hitting it with a weapon. Just really goofy. I had more fun with the motorcycle DLC in Breath of the Wild than I had with basically any Zonai vehicle. Even when I was given instructions to build them from the Yiga, I literally never used a single one of those templates, not even with auto build. I know there's some cool things that can be done and videos of some cool ass vehicles have been made, but I don't have a fucking degree in engineering, so to me they're basically all lame, corny, and boring. I already said in my full review video what I mostly think about the dungeons, but I still didn't get it all off my chest, so let's start with something I didn't mention before, I don't think. Why the Flameo is there only 4 dungeons? I mean, technically 5, but the 5th one may as well just be another Zonai mine. But there's so many other areas in this world that could have had a regional situation that led to a full dungeon. That's an easy way they could have mixed it up to be different from the last game. There's the volcano, the birds, the fish, and the sand. That's all. Meanwhile, the map is full of huge areas that are nothing but wasted potential. Not every big dungeon has to even have the same service or purpose. There could be shit in the game that contributes to the story in other ways than simply housing a sage candidate. And then the 4 or 5 dungeons you do get are such asshole that it leaves entirely too much to be desired. Ganondorf. Why the fuck is Ganondorf even back in this game? Don't get me wrong, I love how his character was fixed from the previous game, but like, the Zonai are new entries in the universe. If you take Ganondorf and replace him in this story with any other new bad guy, the story remains exactly the same. He has little to no presence throughout the game as well. For some reason, they slightly retold the story of Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, but in that game, everything he's doing is simultaneous with the playing of the game itself. You physically see him pledge allegiance to the king. You run across him trying to capture Zelda. You see him again after you accidentally let him into the Sacred Realm. He fucks with you a bunch as an adult while you fight all the monsters that he personally unleashed on the world. Then after you locate Zelda for him, you run into his castle and fight him. In Tears of the Kingdom, you see his corpse once, and then you learn about how he did some things a few thousand years ago, and then other than a few fights with his hollows, you don't see, hear, smell, or have any contact with him again until you finally go down into his hole at the end of the game to fight him. Absolutely pointless. No reason for it to be him again at all. Like I said, the story could be tied to anybody or any new bad guy and nothing would change, so they may as well have just done that instead. In Breath of the Wild, basically everybody said they weren't banging with the durability system. I was in the group of people who didn't dislike it, but just wished the weapons lasted longer or could be upgraded and repaired, so I was stiff when I found out about fusion in Tears of the Kingdom. Problem is, basically every weapon in the world now is a piece of shit. They're all either like moldy and decrepit garbage, or if they are fresh, they're just weak, so the only way to make them usable is to fuse them. Even the Master Sword, after Zelda spent thousands of years as a dragon to repair it, it still breaks again and needs to take a nap after like 3 minutes of using it to mine Zonite. Like, if the weapons are all going to be dookie shit, at least give us other cool, unique shit. Like, give me some bomb shoes back or something, since we lost the bomb rune. Or that ball and chain thing. Or shit, I'll take a gust jar, I don't care. But it's no fun looting a corpse after winning a fight just for some turd of a weapon that's still gonna break, even after fusing it with a piece of a monster that it would cost that entire weapon in another fight to regain the same materials used to make it in the first place. It's a nice try at improving the durability problem, but it still sucks. The special abilities from the Sage Spirits are kind of ass. The Goron rolling is basically only useful for breaking rocks if I don't want to waste bombs or swords, and then it's still impractical for that because of the time to recharge. Sometimes it comes in handy when attached to a Zonai vehicle, but seriously, if I'm flying over a monster on a hover cycle, did I really need to defend myself in the first place? Tulin is as big a pain in the ass as he is useful for forward projection when flying. Why is his gust ability even a thing on the ground? It does nothing but get in the way. Am I going to blow monsters away with it? Or am I just going to kill them like I prefer to do anyway? Riju's ability basically serves the purpose of getting through her segment in the game. And then Sidon's ability is honestly horrible. Like, what the f were they thinking? I barely remember what it even does. The champion abilities in Breath of the Wild were the shit, but these are just pathetic downgrades to all of them. To be honest, most of these abilities have more purpose just completing their dungeon than anywhere else in the world. Like, why the fuck would I want to use this? Sidon's ability has some decent uses, I think, but they're so janky to set up, it's like, forget it. Why would I use his water bubble to cool down in the desert when I can just change clothes? Why would I want to pivot around trying to find the right angle to throw a water projectile at an enemy versus just shooting them with an arrow or straight up attacking? Why would I wait for this electric bubble to expand to struggle to shoot a lightning arrow when I can literally just fuse an elemental item to an arrow? Useless jumble fuck of creatures crowding me at every turn where I can't even get the one I want, even if I wanted it to begin with, which I probably didn't. Honestly, the Zonai were better off as an ancient mystery. The reason people were so interested in them was because they were a mystery. Tears of the Kingdom shoehorns them in everywhere, and it's clear this was never the intended purpose of them in Breath of the Wild, but it appears more inspired by the conspiracy videos from YouTube. Like, does anybody in the world honestly like how they were explained? The mystery of the Zonai ruins was like one of the wonders of the world in Breath of the Wild, but this game just gave the laziest, corniest explanation imaginable for who they are, and I'm not convinced anybody actually likes how they were used here. It's just Zonai this, Zonai that, Zonai fucking everything. And while we're talking about the Zonai, are they from the sky? If so, why is the main ingredient to the technology mostly only available in the depths? I know there's some in caves, but I don't think caves are the most prevalent thing to find in islands floating in the sky. The depths are littered with Zonai tech in mines as well, while the sky has only the gumball machines and one pathetic excuse for a mine. But the surface has basically nothing other than a few jungle statues and no Zonite at all. So did they come from underground to the sky, then back to the surface to create Hyrule? Or did they come from the sky to the surface, find Zonite in the ground, and fly back away? Or did they skip the surface in their descents to mine Zonite to stay airborne, and one day were like, there's a lot of land here, maybe we should just live here? But that's only after the rest are, I don't know, dead, while the only two living left go to the surface so the brother can slay Hylian ass and the sister could read books? Shit makes no sense, and this explanation has more holes in it than bum socks. The pause options have always been a thing for switching weapons or items or changing clothes. I know it's physics breaking to be able to take off an iron boot to float to the surface of water, but then you still have the boots. I know Link's always been able to carry more gear than humanly possible, but this is just absurd. You have outfits that give major buffs, or you can prepare meals that give those same buffs, or you can combine both, but you need not worry about ever dying if you don't want to, because you can carry 20 meals that fully heal you and give extra hearts. Then you can carry endless fairies that also heal you automatically. It was a lot better when you had to keep them in bottles because you had to pick and choose. If you catch 10 fairies in this game, that's 10 bottles. Imagine how game breaking that would have been in other games. On top of that, yeah, it's annoying that weapons break, but you can carry so many of them. What the difference does it make? It only ever matters if you're fighting a strong enemy that breaks half of your weapons, which is rare if you're actually good. Then all the outfits. Having all these fits is kind of fun, but I'm constantly picking between an aesthetic or a bonus. And there's so many, it's honestly hard to pick. And if an opportunity comes up to use one of the outfit bonuses, do I put it on and then leave it? Or do I take it off after I'm through that area? When I only had 2 to 3 to pick from, it was pretty easy to just pick the color I like and have that on, unless I needed something different. But this is just overkill, and so is this whole pause menu. It's an issue that exists in both Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but it's goofy nonetheless. To be honest, I think I've bitched all that I can bitch about the lack of things added to the overworld. I don't want to anymore, but I still think about it every day. I remember the exact moment I realized I was screwed out of $70. When I realized that Lookout Landing was basically the only thing really added to the overworld. I was like, what the kind of stupid ass, goofy ass, lame ass, corny ass, dickhead ass, sucker ass, gump ass, chump ass, shit ass, fuck ass, bitch ass, cunt ass, ass, pussy ass, face ass, back ass, neck ass, head ass, dookie ass, hoe ass, mark ass, trick ass, turkey ass, fuck shit is this? And what the fuck did I just pay $70 for? I expected that there would be far less exploration than in Breath of the Wild since it's, the same world. but I just skipped like whole areas because it's the same place but littered with uninteresting garbage, like helping this dork hold up a sign, or getting more bubble gems that I don't care about, or God help me, another bitch ass Korok. There's the addition of the geoglyphs, which I'm not sure they're even explained in the game, and getting to them is another example of how shit the exploration in this game is. In Breath of the Wild, the memories usually took some time to find. They also made sense in the game. Link lost his memory and uses photographs from his past to remember things. The first time I was trying to find them, I remember covering a lot of ground and was really getting into the weeds trying to find them, which promoted detailed exploration of the map. First off, what the even is the geoglyph? Don't tell me they're all actually dragon tears that paint pictures on the surface of the world. That's lame as But second, because they're gigantic paintings screaming at you from like a million yards away, there was no exploration to it. I just flew straight there and landed on them. I almost feel like Nintendo didn't want us to explore much at all because we'd all realize how we were duped with the same game. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short before I go on for another 20 minutes. Comment and tell me if I should do a video listing things Tears of the Kingdom did right. Hit like, follow my shit, ring the bell or whatever so you'll know if I do.